Hey, weather for Weather Geeks time, Wednesday evening edition. If you watched my video from this morning, touched on the short range, I should say, a lot. Now in this Weather Geek video, if you will, that we do every evening, we're going to talk about the longer range. And one of the things we're going to talk about right off the bat is actually not the future, but the past and how much rain has fallen over the last couple of months. We're running some deficits here for the month and for the year as a whole in terms of rain across the region. We're not in a drought or anything. Most lawns are still pretty green, but it's a little different up in New England. This is the last 60 days worth of precipitation. New England's been very, very dry over the last couple of months. The map boundaries may be a little hard for you to see here. I apologize, but down here is Kentucky and lower Ohio Valley. They're doing all right as far as rain goes, but from about eastern Ohio up through New England, definitely drier than average over the last 60 days or so. And the question is, how's the summer going to play out? And if the pattern doesn't change much, we could be dealing with some slight drought conditions. Right now, the drought monitor shows abnormally dry conditions in the yellow up in much of New England, and actually that dry area, that abnormally dry area, extends down into parts of the lower Great Lakes, even parts of northwestern PA highlighted in yellow, but our viewing area not in the abnormally dry zone yet. But over the next 10 days, here's the latest GFS for the next 10 days, total precipitation. Not looking at a tremendous amount here. It'll rain some, starting around Memorial Day and taking us into next week. There'll be a scattering of showers and storms. But if you take the GFS literally, probably less than an inch worth of rain over the next 10 days. European model does have more, so we'll keep an eye on the trends. But I don't think we're going to be making up our deficits anytime over the next 10 days to 2 weeks. We'll probably keep running some rainfall deficits. Nothing to be concerned about right now, but if this pattern persists into the summer, we could be starting to talk about some abnormally dry conditions. All right, we've had some dry weather today, but of course it's been cool and mostly cloudy. Some rain approaching from the west here. Now, this is running into a lot of dry air. Let me bring up the dew points for you, show you how dry the air is in the lower levels of the atmosphere. Dew points are down in the 30s, so this rain's falling into very dry air, and a lot of it is evaporating before it reaches the ground. So if you look at the observations out here, everywhere you see green boxes where rain is being reported, but in Dayton, the visibility is 10 miles. Up here in western part of Ohio, I forget how to pronounce that. Wapakoneta, yeah, Wapakoneta, 10 miles. So, this is nothing more really than sprinkles out in western Ohio now. So overnight tonight, could be a shower, could be a sprinkle in spots. Don't think it's a big deal at all. So that's about it for this system. It's running into dry air and kind of fizzling out. So let's talk about the end of the week then, starting with our Thursday, tomorrow morning. Back things up here to tomorrow morning. This system is going to be cruising down to the south and east, taking the rain with it. Low pressure system could spark some heavy storms, eastern North Carolina, southeastern Virginia tomorrow. We will be out of the shower zone, but still pretty cloudy here tomorrow, I think. It's going to look kind of like today did. Overcast most of the day, some filtered sun from time to time. That should be about it. So by tomorrow evening, again, the rain is long gone, and we'll be watching the next front slipping in from the north. This is tomorrow evening. Weak front up here, very moisture starved, and as this comes in on Friday, let's go and take a look at Friday. This could Friday morning spark a sprinkle in a few spots. This is Friday morning. The NAM is showing a little bit of green here. So a thin band of clouds with maybe a sprinkle Friday morning, but that should be it for Friday. I think Friday afternoon turns out to be pretty sunny. Here's Friday afternoon, the sprinkle threat going off to our south. And as we go into Friday night, a building and strengthening area of high pressure is going to be building into the Great Lakes. This high pressure zone will be almost right overhead by late Friday night and into Saturday morning. Ideal radiational cooling setup here, with clear skies, light winds. All the warmth that we gathered during the day Friday is going to radiate back out into space. Question is, how cold does it get? And this is important because now we're well into the growing season, and a lot of people have planted, there's flowers out, and people want to know, hey, do I need to protect them? Do I need to bring them in? Right now, our forecast that we have out on TV has a low of 36 officially in Youngstown for Friday night and into Saturday morning. Here's the latest NAM, which has been one of the warmer models, suggesting that we actually don't dip much below the lower 40s Friday night. But the GFS, for the same time, has been ridiculously cold on some of its runs. Now notice the latest run. Let me back up a few hours here. A few hours before sunrise here on Saturday. Notice what the GFS has. 26, 27, 28 degrees. This would be record cold. This would be a hard freeze, a killing freeze for some, if this were to be right. Now, the question is it right? The GFS is a little bit on its own with this type of intense cold Friday night, first thing Saturday morning. So we're not going to buy it lock, stock, and barrel. We're going to keep our forecast in the 30s. But I do think there's at least a modest chance for some scattered frost. Probably not a killing freeze or anything, but some scattered frost. So maybe covering things you care about or bringing them in is a good idea for Friday night. So keeping an eye on the trends here, but I think the GFS is a little bit in la-la land with how cold it has it for Friday night. Well, whatever the temperature is Friday night, Saturday afternoon is going to be beautiful as that high sits down to our south and east. We're going to be in great shape. Sunshine all afternoon. Temperatures warming up really nicely into the upper 60s to around 70, pretty close to average. So Saturday afternoon, great after that cold start. Rest of the holiday weekend. Here's Sunday. We've been carrying a 20% chance of a late day shower or a thunderstorm Sunday. I dropped it from our forecast today because the models are continuing to slow down the arrival of the moisture for late in the weekend. So by Sunday evening, notice maybe some showers to the north, maybe some showers to the west, but I don't think this is much more than clouds by Sunday evening in our neck of the woods. So if you've got a graduation party or something planned Sunday, I think you're doing just fine through the daylight hours. Then some showers for Sunday night, and then here's Memorial Day. At this point, I don't think Memorial Day is any kind of a washout. It's going to be warm, it's going to be humid, and there could be a smattering of showers and storms around, but I really don't think it's a rainy day at this point. And as we head towards the middle of next week, this pattern is going to really develop back into a warm one. A real quick look at the kind of the upper levels here. You can pick out what I'm talking about here as far as the features go. There's going to be a ridge of high pressure flexing its muscles off the southeast coast. There's that high off the coast of Florida, and that's going to really usher in the warmth for a lot of next week. So the latest models are really showing sustained warmth as we ring out May and head into June. So here's the 16-day GFS ensemble with our current cool snap. But then by Memorial Day, we're pushing 80. We may not quite get there, but awfully close. And then if this were to be taken exactly verbatim, which we don't like to do, but we like to look at the trends anyway, several days in a row of well above average temperatures at the end of May and heading into the first week of June. So this cool snap is going to end, and once it ends, it's probably the last time until the fall that we see these types of low temperatures and high temperatures. All right, don't forget tomorrow night, my part of our three-part series on the 1985 tornado outbreak airs at 6. And if you're up early, Jess Briganti will have your forecast as always on WFMJ today. I'll see you tonight on 21 News at 11. Have a great Wednesday night.